Coming up on this edition of Game, the Fraggy gets connected as we join our game guru in a brand new pixelated neon wonderland. Great games for nothing, we head online to check out some of the best free-to-play titles money can't buy. And we get the inside scoop with the developers of Prey 2. All that and so much more. Get ready, Player One. Your game begins now. Hey guys, and welcome. Just in case our flashy intro didn't make it clear enough, you're watching Game, Asia's one-stop spot for the best that moving pixels have to offer. I'm your host, Kelly Latimer, and boy, what an episode we've got in store for you this week. Coming up in a bit, we go on location for an exclusive E3 interview with the man behind the highly anticipated open-world shooter, Prey 2. But right now, it's time to join our resident game guru as he puts on his secret Dayglow underpants to review the latest motion control music game for the Xbox 360. Let's see what the Fraggot thought of this week's game in review, Child of Eden.
Hey ho, Fraggy here, back in the gaming den, feeling rather excited because on this body-moving edition of Play, we're going to be checking out the latest hands-in-the-air game for the Xbox 360. Billed as a multi-sensory shooter, Child of Eden takes place in the distant future, where the internet that we know today has evolved into a sort of virtual landscape known as Eden. But trouble is in the air, because our kaleidoscopic tome of human memory is under attack from a nasty virus. And so begins your quest to save Eden and her guardian Lumi, who just happens to be this extremely attractive Pan-Asian woman. Nice. Now, I know some of you older gamers are thinking, this one looks a little familiar. Well, that's because Eden comes to us from the same guy who brought us Rez on the Dreamcast almost 10 years ago. But when it comes to Microsoft's Kinect, I gotta be honest, because even though I enjoyed the first batch of Kinect titles, I'm kind of a lazy guy, so a game's gotta be pretty awesome to keep me on my feet. So, with that in mind, is Child of Eden just more flouncy art wankery? Or does this game come with enough substance to back up its mountain of visual style? Well, let's find out. Okay, so much like Rez, the thing I liked most about Child of Eden is the unconventional way this game handles combat. Because unlike traditional shooters, this one is as much about crafting the experience as it is about shooting. Everything you hit with either lock-on or tracer shots creates a new sound, and because of that, it really feels like you're composing music as you go through the stage. Now, even though Child of Eden can be played entirely using a controller, when it comes to player interaction and immersion, I definitely had the most fun using Kinect. The game comes with two basic modes of attack. Use your right hand to lock on up to 8 targets, or your left hand for a purple rapid-fire beam, which works great at shooting down projectiles. Flicking your hand forward produces a wave of lasers, and if you're in trouble, you can raise both of your arms for a screen-clearing bomb known as Euphoria. It's all very simple, but used to great effect, and when it all comes together, Child of Eden really does feel like you're flying through a dream world with lasers duct taped to your wrists. The level design is also pretty fantastic, with each stage taking on its own personality, and if you like your boss battles, some of the bosses in this game are downright amazing. Now, for all the synesthetic perfection, there are a few issues with this otherwise awesome experience. First off, the game only ships with a handful of levels, and if you're not the sort of gamer who likes to replay his games, Child of Eden can be finished in a little over 3 hours if you're pretty good at your shooters. And even though I did find that Kinect was the most immersive way to experience the game, it's not always as precise as I wanted it to be, missing a couple of my more subtle hand movements. Also, because the cursor follows your hands, every time you activate Euphoria, the screen tilts up. And as any good gamer knows, if you're going to be looking up every time you throw your grenades, all you get is shot in the gut. You know what, overall, despite its flaws, I'm actually pretty blown away by Child of Eden because honestly, there's a connection that you get when you play this that you really can't get with any other game, especially if you're using Kinect. I don't know if it's the sound design or the music or the fact that you actually feel like you're conducting this futuristic neon orchestra. Or maybe I just like the idea that you're encouraged to put controllers into your pants as they rumble in time with the music. Whatever it is, Child of Eden is a wonderful sensory experience, a marriage of good looks and great gameplay, and a game I think everyone should try out at least once.
Thanks for that detailed analysis, Fraggy. Child of Eden looks like a seriously tiring but pretty awesome way to experience music. But what about those of us who aren't lucky enough to be connected? Well, just for you, we've put together a list of what we consider to be the top 5 most viscerally psychedelic video games ever released for your perusing pleasure. Tweaking hard and need to come down with some spaced out pixel pushers? Here's a few choice picks to get you going.
Coming in at number 5. Ever wondered what it feels like to ride around on the inside of a disco ball? Well, so did we. It's one of the many reasons we love N2O, Nitrous Oxide. A game all about twisty tubes with psychedelic light patterns abound, this one had color, speed, and style to burn. Next, we go even further back in time to check in on the craziest game ever to come from Japan's famous Sonic team. Like a sharpened color pencil stabbing you in the eye, Christmas Nights had you play as a curiously androgynous clown school dropout, going through as many hoopy things as possible. Bonus points if you don't throw up along the way. In at number 3, the strange mix of gardening, playing God, and sheep herding as we revisit the cute and cuddly Viva Pinata. Now, when it comes to straight out wacky fun, this one takes the cake. A sort of gateway drug for guys looking to get their girlfriends into video games. On behalf of an army of boyfriends, we salute you, Viva Pinata. Now, if you're staring at your screen and all of a sudden it starts to melt into a rainbow swirl to the sounds of hypnotic electronica, either your drink's been spiked, or you're playing Space Giraffe. Now looking at this, I think the real challenge to this one was getting a high score without breaking into a seizure. Trippy. And to wrap it all up, our highest award goes to the wonderful Wind Simulator, Flower. A great example of the arguments of video games as art, Flower had no score of any kind and instead focused on arousing positive emotions in whoever was playing it. Think happy thoughts. Almost as much fun to watch as it is to play. If you're at all into discovering new game experiences, this one should be high on your list.
Whoa, overload oodles of epilepsy-inducing titles, all guaranteed to have the kids foaming at the mouth. And with that, it's time for the first commercial break of the show, but don't go anywhere, because when game returns, we take a look at this week's top online picks, because free-to-play doesn't have to mean crap in disguise. And we revisit an old friend to see how she's holding up. Don't go anywhere. She won't. Welcome back, you're watching Game with me, Kelly. We've got an enchanting lineup of games coming up soon with our first look at the latest from EA's Alice and Codemasters' Operation Flashpoint. But before that, it's time to sample the fruits of the giving tree we like to call the internet. It's your weekly basket of delicious, downloadable delectables. This is Online.
Is your computer a little on the weak side? Do the latest games make your poor machine tremble in fear? Well, rejoice, because on this edition of Online, we kick things off with a free-to-play shooter which proves that with some nifty coding, even the most basic computers can get in on the fragging. Assault Cube is a tactical tour de force able to run smoothly even on old Pentium 3s with 56K modem connections. Playing very much like a cross between Counter-Strike and Quake, this one comes packed with 26 different maps and a bunch of multiplayer game modes. Now at just 40 megabytes, Assault Cube may not be the prettiest bell at the ball, but when it comes to speed, performance and flat-out fun, this free download is hard to beat. So give your old box of bolts the ego boost it deserves. Assault Cube is available at the address below. Next up, we turn our attention to a flash-based 3D shooter which takes heavy inspiration from old-school gun games like Time Crisis and House of the Dead. In Nobuyuki Forces 4, you play as a lone female soldier looking to make her way through the labyrinth of corridors to face off against a mysterious enemy. Okay, so the story's as generic as they come, but trust me, all that quickly goes out the window once the bullets start flying. Controls are easy, tap the spacebar for cover and just aim with the mouse. But the startling thing about this one is just how well it's put together. Featuring wonderfully animated sprites as well as gameplay upgrades that you collect as you go about your mission, Nobuyuki's Forces 4 is well worth a bookmark. Check it out at the address below. And finally, to round up our selection of the best free games, one for the parents. If you're looking for a light and casual role-playing game for your pint-sized player too, Milmo is by all accounts a great one to try out. Built using a 3D engine which runs right from your browser, this game was designed from the ground up with kids in mind as you let the little ones roam about in a bright and colourful cartoon world. With quests that feature no real violence to speak of, as well as a multitude of clothing options for kids to keep swapping about, this one's perfect for those rainy Sunday afternoons when soccer practice is cancelled. All yours for free if you just follow the link below.
Fancy that, an MMO running right from your browser. All in all, I'd say Milmo looks like a great bit of kid-friendly fun, and for you parents out there, an easy way to get the little ones out of your hair for a few hours. Don't forget, if you want to check out any of the games you've just seen for yourself, all our links to the stuff we feature can be found on the addresses below. And of course, you can visit the same easy-to-remember spots if you want to get in touch with any of us here at the Game Team. No excuses to not get connected. Time now for our list of what's hot and flying off the game shelves as we speak. It's our roundup of the top titles available this week. We present you with The Wrap.
Looking for a gift for that Game Boy or that pixel princess in your life? Well, listen up, because in this showcase of the best titles out now, turn on your kill cams for the latest Operation Flashpoint. Red River is very much a tactical shooter like its predecessor, but this time around the focus is on cooperation with a campaign that allows online co-op for up to 4 players. And because realism is high on the menu, if you're coming from games like Call of Duty, don't expect things like regenerating health or bullets which masquerade as high-velocity tic-tacs.
Rifleman, 50 meters east.
Now, the story may strike a few of us as being a little too over the top when it comes to American patriotism. But hey, can't you just taste that freedom?
We're attacking the target.
So if you're ready to immerse yourself in the reality of war like never before, Operation Flashpoint Red River is available right now on PC, Xbox 360 and PS3.
Team, blast my target.
Putting down fire. Also out this week, whip out those nostalgia glasses because it's time to herald the return of one of the greats. That's right, people, Link's back in town with his all-new 3D remake of one of the classic RPGs from the Nintendo 64. Using the additional power of Nintendo's latest handheld, Ocarina of Time 3D not only runs with a better frame rate than the original, but also makes fantastic use of the console's swanky 3D functions. So if you're a little on the young side or you somehow missed out on the magic of frankly one of the best video games of yesteryear, what better way to experience the majestic scenery of Hyrule than in full stereoscopic 3D? Yummy! Out now exclusively on the Nintendo 3DS.
A cipher.
And finally, on this edition of The Wrap, tuck your children in as we peer through the looking glass at the newest title from the twisted mind of game designer American McGee. A nightmarish reimagination of Lewis Carroll's original Alice Madness Returns is a morose tale of a woman who loses touch with reality in a wonderland created by her own broken mind.
Something wrong?
An action platformer at its heart, prepared to enter a world filled equally with both beauty and darkness as you explore a world brimming with gorgeous animation and detailed landscapes. Now, the jumping mechanics may be a little finicky, especially if you're new to third-person platformers, but if you're willing to put up with the sometimes less than stellar controls, Alice Madness Returns is one beautiful and evocative journey into the depths of insanity. Out now on the PC, Xbox 360 and the PS3.
Is it over yet? Is it safe? Oh, okay. Now, if you're itching for more Alice-related goodies and you're the proud owner of a flashy new iPhone or iPad, you can download the interactive story based on the game all for free on the App Store. All right, time to set your stopwatches for another 2-minute run, but remember to close the fridge door and, of course, come right back, because when game returns, it's the history of the Battlefield series, from bootstraps and bayonets to one of the highest grossing video games of all time. And we get the lowdown in an exclusive E3 interview with the developers of Prey 2. Welcome back to Game. You're with me, Kelly, your personal chaperone, helping you to navigate the sometimes tricky world of interactive entertainment. Now, if you were one of the early adopters of the Xbox 360, this next title might ring a bell. Released in 2006, the original Prey was somewhat of a sleeper hit. With a unique gameplay mechanic featuring portals and variable gravity, Prey was a shooter unlike any other at the time. But what new surprises have the developers got in store for us this time round? Well, the Fraggot took some time off to speak to the co-founder of Human Head Studios to find out.
In development for over 10 years, the original Prey was somewhat of a mixed bag, blending elements of exploration and puzzle solving with a solid first-person shooting core. Making excellent use of gameplay elements like wall walking and shape-shifting, you played as a Native American named Tommy, a man trapped in an alien spaceship known as the Sphere. But if you're thinking Part 2 will be just more of the same, you're in for a surprise. Featuring a brand new hero, Prey 2's also got more than a few new tricks to offer the world of first-person shooters. I spoke to the game's chief creative officer, Jim Sumwalt, to find out more.
No, Prey 1 was about the sphere, and those kind of things were the gravity flipping and the wall walking. Those are a property of the sphere. Prey 2 tells the story of a U.S. Marshal by the name of Killian Samuels, and he happened to be on an airplane that was sucked onto the very same sphere that Tommy was sucked on. So this one is more about Killian's experience being a bounty hunter. It's all about player choice. The world has been opened up. It's an open world game. You can choose to navigate how you want. You can explore wherever you want to go. You can take missions in the order you see fit, interact with the characters the way you see fit. Because we think players want to have more player choice and more ways to tackle any obstacle.
And when it comes to obstacles, Prey 2 will also feature a brand new way to get around. Much like Mirror's Edge, free running will also play a big part in this game.
And the world is very vertical, so part of that experience also involves a lot of climbing. We call it agile combat. Allows you to vault over any obstacle while firing, climb really easily. The whole time, it never stops you from firing. So what that also how that relates to it is that if you stay on ground level and fight the combatants on their terms, a lot of times it's more guns ablaze and Rambo, lots of rockets and stuff, right? But you can kind of be stealthily, you can climb up and kind of get the tactical advantage, be like Batman, and then jump down and surprise them. After playing it for a while, it's really hard to not be able to just crawl over or vault over anything while shooting. It just kind of strikes me as odd. So I'm super excited about that. I think the players will be too.
Excited? Indeed we are, Jim. Open world hardcore parkour with guns. Count me in. Prey 2 is set for release on the PC, Xbox 360 and the PS3 sometime next year.
Target identified.
Open world alien blasting and with portals, 2012 can't come soon enough. Set to release on PC, Xbox 360 and PS3. We'll have more info on this monster title as it gets closer to retail. But in the meantime, it's time to focus our attention on a game which has slowly been gaining steam ever since it was announced in February. Battlefield 3 is the 11th title in the series which began life on the PC back in 2002. But as the adage goes, you can't tell where you're going unless you know where you've been. So with that in mind, we present you with game's history of Battlefield.
Gamers know that when it comes to the art of war, no series has gotten us closer to the smell of napalm in the morning than Battlefield. Starting with 1942, the game was already an amazing accomplishment, featuring large-scale 64-player warfare over land, air and sea, something that was unheard of at the time. And even from those early days, the bar was set. Now things moved along with Battlefield Vietnam with the addition of a few new vehicles, but the series really started to get into its stride with the release of Battlefield 2, as the game dropped its World War II roots in favor of a more modern setting. With a better selection of weapons and some nifty eye candy, Battlefield 2 went on to sell more than 2 million copies in its first year alone. Now, not content on resting on their laurels, Battlefield 2142, the team's next endeavor, took gamers far into a distant but troubled future. And the best thing about warfare in the 22nd century, well, giant mechs of course, shooty stompy fun for everyone. Which brings us to the boys of the B Squad and Battlefield Bad Company. The first ever BF game to be released only on consoles, Bad Company was a slight step back in the multiplayer department, cutting down on the number of players from 64 to only 24. But what it gained was an amazing new engine called Frostbite, which allowed for totally destructible environments. And with the release of Bad Company 2, a game many gamers were calling multiplayer perfection, it seemed like the series had come full circle. That is, of course, until we laid our eyes on some of the footage that you're about to see. Ladies and gentlemen, and that gamer in the back, this is your first look at Battlefield 3. A direct sequel to 2005's Battlefield 2, and powered by an all-new Frostbite 2 engine, as this trailer shows, the graphics and the animation in this one, simply amazing.
With details and things like dust clouds and explosions looking near picture perfect, the other awesome bit of info I have is that the developers are promising a return to 64-player PC support for online play, as well as a slew of new vehicle types. So, mark your calendars for when this baby hits, October 25th.
Looking good, lads, looking good. And in case you didn't know, you can get your hands on a free-to-play version of Battlefield right now by signing up for the open beta at battlefield.playforfree.com. And with that, sadly, it's all the time we have left in this episode of Game. But remember, you can always check in at our website at espnstar.com/game for snippets of the show. Join our growing community of like-minded gamers on Facebook at facebook.com/ESSGame or follow our tweets on twitter.com/ESSGame. Till next week, guys, may the force feedback be with you.